And local board input, we have one request from Chair Kath Handley of the Waiheke Local Board, whom I shared a lift with this morning, so I know she's here. Could you please come to the table, Kath? And this is in relation to item 12 on our agenda, which is the request to support the Waiheke Rahui by Ngāti Pawa. So, Kath, the floor is yours. So normal up to 5 minutes, and then we'll open it up for up to 3 questions. Thank you.
Tēnā koe, Mr Mayor, and tēnā koutou katoa, governing body members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the item, which has been led by our local board's motion to support the rahui, which has been imposed by Ngāti Pawa, extending to 1 nautical mile out from the coastline, the full coastline of Waiheke Island for 2 years, just to signal that that is a nominal start point from their perspective. So it's not, and it is intended to be extended once some benchmarking has been done. I commend your motion to you. It's really important. The way this works is that Ngāti Pawa, as tangata whenua, have a statutory right to impose the rahui, but it must be, to be enforceable, it must be accepted and ratified by the Ministry of Fisheries. So our request to you is to support the motion, which in turn will support that rahui's consideration by the Ministry of Fisheries. So the local board might have moved ourselves a long time ago on the hugely depleted stocks of most kaimoana around our coastline, but we don't have that statutory right. So we are dependent on other bodies to impose these sorts of constraints. The rahui is for 4 species. Of those, so kura or crayfish, pawa, mussels and scallops. We don't have any of those in our direct waters that are known to our local diving company at this point and to others who've lived on the island a very long time. That is the status quo, I think, for a great number of areas of our Hauriki Gulf coastline which have been overfished. Our dive company, which is involved in conservation work, has done thousands of dives, and occasionally they've spotted pawa, juvenile pawa, and they keep an eye on them and then they're gone. So we're talking about a huge deficit in terms of the biomass of so much of our kaimoana throughout the Gulf. This to me is a really important thing that we're doing because it signals some action has had to be taken locally to make up for a deficit in national legislation which is long overdue, and I do commend the Mayor for your letter to the Minister with respect to that long overdue legislation. It's been in the pipeline too long. I understand from sources in the Ministry of Fisheries that the Minister has flagged that he is unlikely to deal with it this year because he's dealing with the RMA and Three Waters, all of the reforms required under the Three Waters legislation. That isn't acceptable. If we were standing beside a person who was dying, we would do absolutely everything we could to resuscitate that person and ensure their life. The Hauriki Gulf is that person. We are obliged, in my view and that of our board, to do everything that we can as responsible governors of the Hauriki Gulf area as far as that extends to our catchment. And I do endorse this motion to you, please, for your support, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Kath, and thank you for your presentation. and you're very welcome. It's the last item on the agenda, unfortunately, but if you're catching a later ferry back to Waiheke, you're very welcome to stay for the...
Just exiting at 12:30.
Okay, well, you never know. I'm not going to predict. Every time I do, I put the mocker on it. Look, can I just ask the first question, which is, what's your sense of the range of viewpoints on the island about establishing a rāhui? And can you, I think, if I recall rightly, some years ago, a survey was done, a poll was done of views of Waiheke residents about the need to preserve those species. Can you throw some light on what you think the majority viewpoint on the island is, either from that survey or from your discussions about this?
Certainly, thank you. 2015, there was a Colmar Brunton household survey, so a very robust survey done. 67% of people who responded, which was a significant number, were in favour of more marine reserves and a network of marine reserves around Waiheke. Since then, the Gulf has deteriorated, the science has advanced, the reporting has advanced, and the awareness has advanced. So I would say that that's very conservative, the 67%. I have had no negative feedback myself. I'm aware of one person. I'm aware that there is a petition which is going to government, which essentially is, in my view, a racially biased petition, demanding, that because this has been imposed by Ngāti Pawa, kind of one vote, one what's that word? Regardless, you know what I mean. So, and I gather they might have got up to 1,000 signatures. That doesn't mean there is 1,000 people on Waiheke who signed that. There is a current petition as well as submissions being actively submitted by people on Waiheke. So there is a current petition which got 650 signatures in the first 2 days. So my estimate is significantly more than 67%. I would say an overwhelming majority.
Thank you very much, Kath. Councillor Pipacoon, councillor for Waiheke Island, of course.
Tēnā koe koromatua, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou, e te kaupapa e tēnā wā. Tēnā koe, Chair Kath, thank you so much for coming along in person today and all your advocacy to bring this to the governing body. It's fantastic that we've got it on the agenda today and hopefully being able to express our positive support. The Mayor has actually stolen the question I was going to ask in terms of talking to the broad community support, and I would echo what you said, that I've only actually received one email which was more about the process and signage issues really than the rāhui itself. But I know you can't speak for mana whenua, but I wondered if you'd just like to give a comment on the broad support that you have heard from mana whenua, not just Ngāti Pawa who've led it, but just how widespread the support is for the rāhui from mana whenua.
Thank you. Once again, I've heard no negative comments from mana whenua or Matawaka. There was a public meeting called by Ngāti Pawa prior to imposing the rāhui, which was very well attended at the marae, and a number of other iwi had people there who were from other iwi. Every single person in the room spoke at the end of that, passed the talking stick around, and everybody who was there supported the rāhui. So I can only speak to that, and the event itself, the rāhui, which was a dawn ceremony in the sea and at the seaside in Oniroa, and again there were representatives there from other iwi, but certainly I'm not in a position to expand on that.
Kia ora.
Thank you very much. Last question, Councillor Greg Sayers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Anything we can do to protect the Hauraki Gulf has my full endorsement. My comments just around, marine reserves. There's one off Long Bay And I was out there recently, and a little modest tinny that I've got. I used to go out there fishing, pull up the anchor. It was clean. Now, 5 kilometres away from that, I pull up with mud, and that's because of development that's going on and our lack of sediment control. So there's just, a word of, some wisdom, message to ourselves and to council officers responsible for controlling sediment control and development, that we can put in best intent, but we can accidentally spoil it.
Yeah. No, I concur with that. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I may ask Councillor Pipacoom to move, and I'm happy to second that we receive the input on the Waiheke Rahui and thank Kath Handley for her attendance today. It's moved and seconded. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
To the contrary, no. I declare that carried. Thank you very much, Kath, and as I say, you're welcome to stay, and in the knowledge that you're here waiting, we'll try and get through our other items in an expeditious way. There's an encouragement to everybody around the table.
Kia ora, Mr Mayor, and thank you. And I'll be sitting with you this morning in the hope that we get there. Cheers.
Thank you. We now come to item 8 on the agenda, which is extraordinary items. I've not been informed of any extraordinary items. So we come to the first substantive item on the agenda, which is the